welcome for the fourth session of our Black Sea and Balkans Congress. In this session, our topic will be policies of global actors and their roles in providing security. Well, our first guest would be Fateme, but we have two guests that they need to catch planes to Ankara, and so we will start with Mr. Rahman Nurdun, and his presentation title is Navigating Great Power Competition, Assessing the EU's Gateway Program in the Western Balkans vis-à-vis China's Belt and Road Initiative. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to apologize for Fatma, the first speaker, first speaker, for giving me the chance to speak in the first place. Thank you very much again, distinguished panelists. So as you see, this is the topic, very very big topic, navigating great power competition. Very assertive, but so first of all, I'd like to say something about the aim of the presentation. So in this presentation, I would like to compare the achievements, so-called achievements by EU, the Global Gateway, and China, because Ursula von der Leyen announced about the Global Gateway as counterbalance to the Belt and Road Initiative of China, which is going to kick off in 2013. So this is a very interesting, but the Global Gateway is a very new initiative. So it might be interesting for panelists, for all of us to have some idea about what's going on. So I try to share my observation. So this is the aim of this presentation. And what is Global Gateway? You know, this is, as I said, it's initiative started by the Commission President, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and it's very big project. Has a very big budget. It's like 3 trillion euro, and it has a time span between 2021 to 2027. And the European Union would like to, fund the project worldwide. It's not just for Western Balkans, for all over the world, but developing world. Sorry, somebody's. So this is the Global Gateway, and this is the lady. I mean the Ursula von der Leyen. She openly said several times, this is the counterbalance to the China's Belt and Road Initiative, because China has some friends in the Western Balkans, like Hungary, like former Yugoslavian Republic countries, like Serbia, Montenegro. Those Albania, those Western Balkan countries, which has a very strong link with China before the Cold War, So this is a very interesting project from perspective of EU. And this is a worldwide project. It's not just targeting certain place, not just immediate neighborhood like the Balkans, all over the world, or developing world. Basically speaking. So far they have some, some program. This is the sectors: sustainable transport, clean energy, environment and climate, digital future, human capital, private sector. This is basically those goals, which is. I would say it's closely related with Sustainable Development Goals (WN), which is supposed to finish in 2025. It's still falls short of its objective. And this not yet finished. It's just a planned program by the EU, the Gateway program, and it's kind of flagship program. very big program, big budget. And let's see what's going on here. So these are the big project. The Albania, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I don't want to read one by one, but you can see for yourself. I just take this from the official site by the EU Commission. So this is a screen print. My PowerPoint presentation. So what is Belt and Road Initiative? It's in fact the Belt and Road Initiative. It's something new. It looks like it's somehow invented by the President Xi Jinping. It was not. It was an old initiative with different names by the consecutive leaders after Deng Xiaoping. Jiang Zemin, he started. We shall look west. Open up to the west, which means linking up kind of Eurasia. So that's why they built up the first railway station in China, which is just not next to the Kazakhstan border. Alashanko it is called. I know the station. In fact, the state started this kind of land transportation in 1990s already. So this is the continuation of this big project. And the consecutive leaders, Hu Jintao also mentioned about this project. I would say initiative. In fact, the foundation was laid by Hu Jintao before Xi Jinping as a grand plan, and Xi Jinping was ready to pick up where Hu Jintao left. So he started announcing the project because they have the money anyway. They are talking about $8 trillion US, because by 2013 China has a problem of excess capacity. They have so many infrastructure projects. They have produced so many steels, iron steels. They have built up so many high-speed trains, rail stations, which is just neglected somehow. All these cities always have high-speed train station, several. And they are suffering the loss because they are just keep. This is kind of pushing up the GDP, in a certain level, because it become the second economy in the world. So on the paper, it is the second economy in the world because they have a huge capacity or extra capacity, and so many companies. So they need to, and they have need to use their capacity to preserve their foreign currency reserve, because they keep buying the U.S. bonds that for every year, because otherwise they don't know how to keep the money safe. So this is a real story behind the Belt and Road Initiative. So far they have 150 global partners, and they have 6 land bridges. One is from the China all the way to Pakistan, Gwadar seaport. Well, it's the Persian Gulf, there's a seaport. And because of the, it's all, this is one of the most dangerous land route, because they have a Balochistan terrorist liberation army, and they have other those Pakistan Taliban. They are very interested in destabilizing the region. So they are not happy about this kind of initiative. They keep attacking those kind of initiative. So Gwadar, the seaport, is not very operational right now. It's kind of half operational. So it doesn't mean the Belt and the Road Initiative is very successful, because the initial idea is to export Chinese capacity to its immediate neighborhood, which means Southeast Asia. So we see there is a high-speed train between Bandung and Jakarta, just recently completed, and they have also supported some high-speed trains and infrastructure in Malaysia. But when Mahathir Mohamad came to power, he said, "Oh, wait a minute, this is a big problem. We are falling into that trap." So at the age of 92, he traveled all the way to Beijing and said, "Hey, we need to renegotiate the terms because it's a big money. We couldn't afford." So that's why they canceled some project. under the umbrella of Belt and Road Initiative between China and Malaysia. And the China is very successful. I can mention three countries. One is Laos, one is Cambodia, and one is Myanmar. They have built up the high-speed train between the Kunming and Vientiane. This is the capital city from Laos to the western part of China, which is the neighbor to Laos, and some other route between Myanmar, Myanmar and China again. Those countries are very enthusiastic in accepting the Chinese entry because they have a lot of money coming in. But the money, in fact, it's just credit, low interest government loans. It's not cash money. And involves a lot of Chinese workers, Chinese engineers, all those Chinese materials, So at the end of the day, the countries has to pay back. And like Sri Lanka, they have leased the seaport for 99 years. And somebody's just criticizing China for saying, hey, China is encouraging countries to fall into the debt trap. Well, I would say this is not the case all the time, because if you want to ask money, you have to, show the consequences. There's a trap or there's something going to happen. So it's two way around. It's not intentionally, somehow lured by China to get the money and to lease the seaport. It's not the case. It's not that simple. The government, at question, they know what's going to happen. So this is, I would say, this is one of the interesting aspect of China Belt and Road Initiative. So what's going on in the Western Balkans? Because the infrastructure, of course, the communication, the transportation, the mountainous region of all Western Balkans. I've been there several times, so I can see they desperately need those roads to connect. It's connectivity. It's about connectivity of the country between Balkans. So China, acquired, because of Eurozone currency, acquired the Greek seaport of Piraeus, which is go all the way up to the Western Balkan countries, from the Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, all the way up. And so
Macedonia, Serbia.
Yeah, those are the countries, So these are the money, the project. Snapshot of China's regional project, the Western Balkans. We don't have time, so I don't want to read one by one. And this should be deleted because it's excess slide. And this money, you can see that Serbia had a lion's share in Chinese investments from 2010 and 2020. And these are the Chinese companies involved in the investment in the Western Balkans. This is the names of the countries here, and the money spent, and also the sectors: transport, energy. Those basically about connectivity and natural resources. And this is the impact of the BRI. And here we don't have to figure for Albania, because Albania is a country, interesting country. They have received the most ODA from China before the Cold War, during the Enver Hoxha time. The Enver Hoxha is
During the Cold War,
hardest, staunch communist in the Balkans. The only Balkan country, European country, has a very good relation with China. So somehow this clicked again, even before the death of Mao, because Mao started to have a relation with the United States. Said, well, you are the traitor of communist camp.
Yes.
So that's why he criticized the Chinese, even before the death of Mao. Mao said, well, okay, let's forget about it. It's a small country anyway, you have to put up with it, because that's the only friend in Europe. So after the death of Mao, they just slipped up. And China was labeled by the Albania as a traitor of the
Also
social
USSR. Khrushchev
USSR is the traitor before China.
Before China.
Khrushchev.
So the Emel Hoca is a lonely man in the Balkans, interesting country.
Yeah, right.
So what is the pros and cons? So this should be 14+1. I'm sorry about that. It's not 16+1 because these three Baltic countries already withdrawn from this cooperation. The China started to cooperate in 2019, which is called the China and the Central Middle Europe, Central and East European Cooperation Mechanism. This is the full name. It's a long name, and. At the beginning, they have a 6+1, and after the Greece joined in, becomes 17+1. And when China has problem with Lithuania, then Lithuania has a problem because the China say, well, you can't, have the Taiwanese have to set up office in Lithuania. What's going on? The Lithuanians say, well, it's my business. Well, what has got to do with you? So this is a problem. And Sukar withdraw, so now they have a 14+1. 14+1 is the very interesting mechanism because this is kind of encirclement of European Union countries because some of them, most of them are not member of European Union, like the Western Balkan countries. And the China is interested in getting to the European Union market through those countries. So that's very important. So that's why the connectivity is very important. Once they finish the communication problem, it's easier for the goods just moving in. So right now, the most important two countries, one is Hungary and one is the Serbia. So the Xi Jinping visited these two countries quite recently after the France. So that tells the whole story.
We have 3 minutes left.
Okay. I'm finishing. Don't worry. So the EU and China has a contrasting attitude. So China is going to be centralized because they have a government. Everybody listen to the Xi Jinping say, well, they have to receive order from the single man, the whole organizations, whatever the ministry concerned. But the EU, they're more interested in the internal, political, rule of law, those. Values for human rights, those jargons of European Union. That's why the standard European Union principles about the aid giving. So that's the difference. And China said, we don't care about what's going in other countries because all we need to do is about non-interference, just pure cooperation. Nobody meddle in each other's business. So this is attitude is very different, and of course they have different approaches. China prefers agreements, bilateral, and loans. They want to swiftly implement the project, and the EU want to have a rich consensus because European Union is not a single country. They have to reach consensus in order to propose certain program budget, and. So there is divergent. This is the Divergent Institute. Again, you more interested in the sustainability and the holistic approach, and this is more in line with the SDG goals because the sustainability is very important. They need to see if it is whether or not it can continue as it is. And the China more, they are not very much concerned about the environmental, social, economic impact. They just say, well, if the Serbian government wants our support, then that's it. We can give it. We don't mind about the people's feedback because our party is government. So this is a fundamental difference between them. So different priorities. And as I said just in my previous slides, because the Balkan countries is very close to the European Union market. So that's why for China, this is a treasure. So that's why they put up a lot of money, on infrastructure building, like Piraeus Harbor and the railway between Hungary and Serbia, those projects. So this is the kind of implementation. In China has their money because it's centralized government. They have the central money and they have a lot of state-owned enterprises. State-owned means it is state-owned money. It's kind of state capitalism. You just receive order from the one headquarters and easy for the implementation. Of course, there's some private sector from China as well, but still, they have to take care of the national policy, China's national policy to other countries. Okay, so yeah. So this is the conclusion. As I said, it's offered opportunities and the risks at the same time. And both interested in giving money to the Western Balkans for different purposes. But more or less, all the countries just like we say, well, we don't care about where the money is coming from. As that money is coming, it's fine for us because it's somehow I would agree because it's important for them to build infrastructure. They have very bad infrastructure in the Balkan countries because if you for them what to do, you can imagine it's a European country. It's very backward. Serbia as well at the same time. So I would say there's some room for building a synergy between European Union, the global gateway, and China's Belt and Road. If the leaders from two blocks can come together and say, well, we are also for the benefit for the Western Balkans, we can, sit there on the table to discuss all the possibilities. There are always the possibilities, but because of the different systems, so it's again very difficult to predict. So this is the end of my slide. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to rush because for the catch up thing. So if there are any questions, I would.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Do I have questions?
Yes, I have questions. I have actually two questions, but one of them is the minor. Actually, you answered that. Chinese involvement in the Western Balkans is contributing to stability or the instability in the Western Balkans. That was my question, but you answered. What I understood from your answer, the conclusion is that the Chinese involvement or any great power involvement is not a destabilizing factor. What is destabilizing? Is the rivalry or the competition? Different attitudes.
Well, I would say it depends on whose perspective. From European Union perspective, the Chinese involvement is kind of posing some risks for the stability of the Balkan Union because they don't care about the justice, the human rights. They're more interested in the business gain as far as China is concerned. But they are somehow undermine the principles of the European Union because, as I said, there are some interesting countries in the Balkans. Hungary, they have a very tough guy, Viktor Orban, and he was under severe criticism by the European Union because he said, well, if you can take the example for the Ukraine crisis, they think differently from the European Union. See? So this is Vučić, the Serbian president, is a longtime ally of China. So there is some ideologic past between these countries. I can tell you, before the Cold War, China has very good relation between the socialist Hungary and socialist Tito, the Yugoslavia. So they have this historical link between China and Balkan socialist countries, former Yugoslavian countries. So they have a two aim. One is to win friends for China because China somehow, after the coronavirus problem, they have feel a little bit isolated in the international platform, especially European countries. Most of them just through Baltic countries become enemy of China. Can you imagine that? Before that, they have a member of 70+1. So this is alarming signal for China. So that's why they have to stand firm in the Western Balkans, spend money, win friends, and also try to make money for China's excess capacity. Those companies, because China right now has an economic problem as well, because of U.S. sanction and the European European Union is talking about de-risking not the decoupling. You're not just talking about decoupling from China. And because Germany and France say, well, wait a minute, we have a large stake in China, and so that's why we better de-risking to lessen the risk for doing business between China and European Union. So that's why they're posing a risk from pressing the European Union. But for the Balkan countries, they're happy with Chinese investments.
That was that was a sense of my
Yes.
I have one question.
Yeah, I have the second one, but yeah. The second one is not the minor one, bigger than the minor.
Okay,
It
I have 4
was the-
minutes.
Chinese, I mean the Chinese flow of the investment to the West from that road initiative, that initiative, and also the other initiatives. So some circles, scholars argue that there is a challenge, Chinese challenge to the U.S. that or the Western the hegemonic order. But some argue that, including me, that is all the Chinese effort is a type of the globalization, Chinese globalization, or Eastern wave of the globalization. How do you assess this?
Well, I would say after the Xi Jinping become China's president, he said he should become not the player of the game. We should become the guys who is the organizer the game. We should one of the organizers. We should become one of the directors of the rules, world rules. We should have our own say, not just the rules set by the United States, European Union. So that's why it's called what do you say? Setting the rules. So this is their ambition. Xi Jinping openly declared his intention to say we are not the player. We are also the leaders of the game. One of the leaders. So that's why this should be backed up or this kind of very big initiative. I will emphasize, this is the rare end. I mean, Western Balkans is not the main destination of Chinese Belt and Road Initiative because the main money, large share spent for the Southeast Asian countries because it's immediate neighborhood of China and easy for them to control the trend of what's going on. For the Europe, it's just for the win some friends and also spend money to enter the final destination, the European market. So this is the main purpose of Chinese involvement in the Western Balkans. But she should solve the connectivity problem.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Question. I withdraw my question.
Running out of time.
Thank you for the presentation. Is there a consensus in the region to enhance the cooperation with China? I mean, or this Chinese leader-to-leader diplomacy is not sustainable, so any dramatic change in the domestic affairs of regional countries may have a negative impact.
Well, I would say it depends on cash flow in China because China also has some economic difficulty right now. So kind of recession because as I said, they have a problem to export their commodities to European market and to United States. As you can see, the electric car, they built up 30 million electric car just last year, and those cars are waiting to enter European market in the seaport. And the United States, hey, we don't want these cars. We have to raise the custom tariffs. And European Union also said, well, forget the electric car. We are not interested in building up this kind of car. We're not going to subsidize this all. So that's why this is a Chinese sponsored initiative because, as I said, it's a state-owned enterprises. So they have the money, they have to subsidize those sector. Somehow it becomes a problem for itself because it's not environment friendly for the electric car. Because you have to, battery needs a lot of energy consumption, so it's not sustainable. So this is a kind of it's a bad luck, I would say, for Chinese government, because that's the negative effect of the centralized government. Because you should ask the market to decide what's going to happen. But in China, it's not the market; it's the literature. So that's why they have this kind of excess capacity of high-speed train. But still, they're supporting high-speed train construction. Why? Because they have built up so many products. They need to use those products. So it's kind of vicious circle. So the debt keep rolling out, rolling and rolling. Nobody knows what will happen, even in China. So that's why they need to like the investment in Africa, in Latin America. Why? Because need to use money to get some money. Otherwise, it's just a paper in their hands. Because the United States just keep depreciating the interest of the U.S. bonds. You know, I'm not economist, but I can feel it. So this is my observation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much
And
for
hand
your
over your
time.
first
Limited
paper.
time. If you have further questions, you can write. You can send all the questions. Yes.
One more, please. And also I'm with my camera.
Okay.
Çok teşekkür ederim. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this workshop, this seminar, and look forward to attend your future seminar for that.
Hope so.
Çok teşekkür ederim.
Aşağı aşağı.
Vallahi bakıyorum. Çok teşekkür ederim.
Sinem.
Let's continue with our second presenter, Mr. Westford, and the title of his presentation will be Current Global Geopolitical Shifts and Ramifications in the Western Balkans, Shaping Our Euro-Atlantic Future Through Malign Foreign Influence. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I will try to build also a little bit on what my predecessor just presented, and but I will try not to give you overlapping information about foreign influence in the Western Balkans. And so the idea of this presentation, of this work, is to put it into the perspective of Euro-Atlantic integration, mainly when we are talking about Euro-Atlantic integration, we talk about European Union as well as NATO in this regard. This is just to give you a little perspective on what are the outermost, let's say, limits of the Western Balkans, of the Balkans in general. This is according to Encyclopedia Britannica, but some might have discussed this geographic map because, for example, if you talk to Slovenians, they don't want to say we are part of the Balkans. Croats, no, generally not. And this is mainly because of the bad vision and historical perspective that Balkan region has placed for itself. Usually when we talk about Balkans, we talk about war. I have to mention here that the First World War was ignited in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Sarajevo. However, this is, from scientific point of view, it can be said that this is global, and this are the outermost limits of the Balkans. It's mainly mountainous regions, And we can see Hungary is not considered there as a Balkans, because Hungary is flat land mainly. And so we have this Piraeus here that at the Athens that the professor earlier was talking about, port here that goes up to North Macedonia, Serbia, and Hungary, and it connects the west and the rest of Europe. It used to be called the Corridor 10 of the Balkans. This is NATO territory in Europe. So we see lately also, I guess I should have taken a better map here with names, but we see like up in the north there, Sweden and Finland becoming the latest members of NATO. But we see now in the Balkans, especially in the Western Balkans, only 3 countries remain outside of NATO. And we are talking about Kosovo, Bosnia and Herzegovina, which has a membership action plan, and Serbia, which does not have any relations with NATO at all. It has some special partnership with NATO, but officially Serbia does not require NATO membership. It's not pursuing for NATO membership. However, we can use the same map here for EU. Again, it's roughly the same, other than we have Montenegro, Albania, and Macedonia, and together with Kosovo, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Serbia, they represent 6 countries that are still not members of the EU, but they are part of the and these 6 countries mainly are referred to as the Western Balkan countries. So in order to distinguish them from, let's say, Eastern Balkans, such as Romania, Bulgaria, Southern Balkans, mainly Greece, and Northern Balkans, Slovenia and Croatia. So this is what we refer when we talk about 6 countries as part of the Western Balkan countries. From geopolitical point of view, we have, it depends how you view it, but at least all of these countries have declared themselves to be positioning pro-European Union integration, at least. All of them are for NATO except for Serbia. That is at least official policy of Western Balkan countries. And if so, okay, it's here. So this is when we are talking about this perspective, then we should also give a definition of what would be malign influence, because it depends on the viewpoints and constellation of powers and objectives, strategic viewpoints that states have, and so on and so forth. So a malign influence this is just a general definition, is an influence which might play a negative role in one country's objectives and strategic plans. So the idea that is if a country have an influence over one country and that influence jeopardizes its strategic objectives and plans, in this regards, joining EU, for example, or NATO, then it should be considered a malign influence. And this influence may be projected through different means of economic, political, information, cyber activities, etc. Recently, we are also talking about hybrid techniques, warfare techniques, hybrid threats. We still don't have a clear definition of what hybrid threats are, but they include different ways and methods and means that states engage in influencing another state to behave as per their own terms. Okay, almost I already mentioned that. So while countries yearn for EU and or NATO membership, there are geopolitical aspects that might affect the process. especially current geopolitical shifts after Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the situation around Taiwan and the China Sea are having ripple effects in the Western Balkans as well. And this influence is mainly exerted through political national elites, mainly in Serbia and Republika Srpska within the Bosnia and Herzegovina. So we have Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is a confederate state composed of Republika Srpska and Bosnia and Herzegovina Federation. And these political elites facilitate influence from outside, which might go against aligning their policies with the EU. For example, we have the case of Serbia. We have Russia and Serbia both claim historical ties and brotherhood. Historically, Russia would defend and has helped Serbia expand in the Balkans. They fought against Ottoman Empire, many wars, just let's say even in San Stefan agreement we talk about 1877 after Ottoman Empire was defeated by Russia at that time, and then it negotiated very bad terms for other peoples in the Balkans, other than Serbia and Bulgaria in a way. And Berlin Congress was then organized in 1878 just to rectify some of those San Stefan terms. And from then, of course, we are talking about historical ties and brotherhood relationship between Serbia and Russia. And especially Serbia has found a great brotherhood relationship here with regards to Kosovo, which is still not recognized by Serbia, and Russia keeping up in terms with Serbia, jeopardizing international recognition and integration of Kosovo. For example, UN membership of Kosovo is blocked by Russia's veto power because admission to UN should go through Security Council and then to the General Assembly of the United Nations. This is why Kosovo has not been able to become part of the UN. On the other hand, Serbia does not align its policies with the EU in sanctioning Russia, and and within the people there is a very high sympathy for Russia's war in Ukraine against Ukraine, and we're talking about aggression. There are recruitment centers all around Serbia, and there are specific brigades that operate within Russia's military operation in Ukraine that are specifically composed of Serbian mercenaries and volunteers there. And we saw, especially during 2023, we saw open recruitment calls on the streets of Belgrade, capital of Serbia, calling for recruitment of fighters to go and fight on the side of Russia against Ukraine. This was noticed by EU as well, and it was condemned by EU, but not much of a success in that perspective. We have high-level official visit to Moscow from high government officials, and we have recently new election in Serbia, and the new government was formed, and 2 appointed members of the new government are persons that are blacklisted by the US. Russia has been deploying hybrid and misinformation campaign in the region at least since 2016, and this misinformation campaign is conducted, among others, also through its Russia's RT television media, which has its main coverage in the Balkans, in Serbia. So the headquarters for the Balkans is in Belgrade, and it broadcasts in Serbian language, which is mainly the common language in the region, and it is understood by the people of the Western Balkans. How is this then translated into Kosovo, for example? In 2017, Belgrade authorities tried to push in Kosovo a train. So this was one of the, how we may put it, into the hybrid warfare means of operation. So a train that was made in Russia and it was covered by banners stipulating Kosovo is Serbia tried to enter Kosovo in 2007. Tension was very high at the time, but in the end it was stopped at the border without entering Kosovo. We tried to influence referendum outcomes in North Macedonia and Montenegro to forfeit their accession to NATO. Actually, in North Macedonia, in a way, they had an impact because the turnout for referendum was less than 30%, and this was mainly due to the campaign and misinformation and hybrid activities, threats that were coming from different Russian agents and proxies operating in Macedonia. However, the referendum was passed with most of those that participated, so less than 30% of them voted for. Okay. And in 2023, during the uprising in northern part of Kosovo, the city walls were covered with Z insignia and photos of Vladimir Putin as well as related banners. So this is that train that was coming to Kosovo, Russian-made train. They have just recently bought them. These are Z insignias all around the city in northern part of Kosovo, which is adjacent to Serbia, where we have issues with integrations there due to Serbia's influence there. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have Russia's influence mainly through Republika Srpska and its nationalist leader Milorad Dodik, and he is not shy even to openly express its loyalty towards Putin, and visited him in Moscow after the Ukraine invasion. He is threatening to declare independence of Republika Srpska and denies genocide in Srebrenica. China, just briefly, it was mentioned here, so we have these are different investment programs in all around Balkans. We don't see there Serbia is there in the end, but we have 61 different projects, and as Professor was mentioned earlier, they got the lion's share of the 136 projects in the old Balkans area. This is also translated in terms of financial aspects like money, cash money. By receiving money, states make themselves vulnerable to foreign influence, which may impact EU integration process. Already was mentioned, Lithuania had officially complained to the European Commission about China pressure over Taiwan. And Italy recently stated its withdrawal from the Road and Belt Initiative. So the main issue, I believe that it was not mentioned here, why EU is wary of China's influence in the Western Balkans and in other EU member states, is because if you are a member state of EU, or if you want to become a member state of EU, you have privileges, you have rights there. And what is the main privilege that you have as part of the EU is that you have veto power there, you know. And you don't want to have a country, because currently there are 27 European member states. You don't have one small country that falls prey to China's influence there and jeopardize the whole European Union. Especially, we are talking about common foreign and security policy, which encompasses also common security and defense policies. This is the main issue why of EU.
This is the EU perspective.
Yeah. So that's of course EU's perspective, but this is a malign influence if we are talking also from our perspective, because if our strategic goal is to become a member of the EU, then this influence from China and if dependence increases on China, might jeopardize our integration into EU, because EU will be reluctant to admit new member states if they are under China's influence, because in that regards you will have your veto power and jeopardize the whole European Union. So I think I'm finishing it. Okay, it was mentioned earlier. Xi Jinping visited only Serbia in the region. Of course, I did not mention Hungary because Hungary is outside of Balkans. And they reiterated their stance of long-lasting relationship and signed some agreements. Also, Serbia relies on China over Kosovo, particularly with the UN membership, so China also has a veto power there. Serbia expressed also recently its intention to join BRICS. And one of the agreements that was signed between Serbia and China was called Shared Future, which is quite concerning from the other Balkan states' point of view, as well as European Union. These are just some statistics that were a survey that was conducted by International Republican Institute. So regarding perception in the Balkans against different situations in the world, to what extent do you think Russia's actions in Ukraine are justified or unjustified? So you see in Serbia, for example, we have 18% completely justified and 31% somewhat justified. So we have altogether close 50% of people in Serbia believe that it was completely or somewhat justified, which is quite concerning from, of course, my point of view, as well as I think EU perspective. So it shifts completely differently in Kosovo and Albania as we go down there. Which country do you consider to be the most threat to your country? Again, we see in Serbia, we have United States there as the first enemy, I would say there. And then Albania, Kosovo. We have some issues there. For example, in North Macedonia, we have Bulgaria and Russia there because of issues between Macedonia and Bulgaria there.
I think we are running out of time.
This is the last one, I think, or this one again, but which country do you consider to be the most important ally to your country? Okay, we see Serbia is Russia by far the most important ally there. And we have other countries that see somewhat differently Russia, but wide acceptance in Serbia. What should our country's foreign policy be? So we have, again, Kosovo, mainly only pro-European Union, and the West, Albania is there, but we go towards the other spectrum, especially in Serbia and North Macedonia, which are only pro-Russian. We have 12% only pro-Russian, and pro-Russian, but key population. So it's, we see that let's say Russia's influence in China's mainly developed through Serbia basically, and I think that's it. Bosnia and Herzegovina to a certain extent. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm sorry if I took too much, but I think
Thank you very much for your presentation. Do we have
You
questions?
have to pay fine.
but I think previous presenter also took more time. I guess.
More
Yes,
time.
so I think you should.
For this reason, I continuously warn you in advance.
That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have questions?
Good.
Mr. Best one.
Comments? Yes.
Okay, I have one comment or
Yes.
one question.
I have
Your slide, this one, the one before this one. Can we go back to that?
This one?
I think this one, North Macedonia,
Yes.
this is interesting because they see Serbia as their most important ally in the region. So does this mean that they also feel threatened because of the Albanians in their country, because of the Albanians in Kosovo and Albanians in Montenegro? And there is a government change and presidential change in North Macedonia. How can it affect the situation between the country and between Albania and North Macedonia and Kosovo? What do you think?
Okay, yes. North Macedonia is a very mixed country, where last census also showed that 25% are Albanians, and the rest mainly declare themselves as Macedonians. But there is quite wide margin of population there that also feel as Serbs due to their origin. Of course, there are issues with the concept of what a Macedonian identity is as well. This is why they have also issues with Bulgaria, they have issues with Serbia, not only with Albanians, but recent developments might be because of power sharing of the last, we had an internal conflict in Macedonia in 2001, between Albanians who were marginalized throughout the history and were not represented properly at public institutions and the government as per their share of the population. So it led to a conflict there. And then we had this Ohrid Agreement, 2001 Ohrid Agreement, which is, I guess nowadays we can say maybe most of it is implemented. And we have power sharing structure within the Macedonian population. It's historical ties with regards to Serbia. It's historical ties. Macedonia broke out of Yugoslavia very peacefully, so Serbia did not wage war there. Serbia waged war in Croatia, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Kosovo, but not there. So this is why there is no negative. In fact, they don't view Serbia from that perspective point of view because of peaceful breakout of former Yugoslavia, historical ties, and this is why we have 34% there. I don't think they feel threatened because against Kosovo or Albania.
Salma, could you please go back to the slide before as well? Because I think
this is threat.
No,
Okay.
The threat one.
Okay, threat one. North Macedonia, Bulgaria, 23%. This is Russia, 12%, Kosovo, 10%. Albania 9%. Of course, this
Albanian
question. But this is but this is also Bulgaria there.
Yeah.
And this is why they don't have issues currently with Serbia because they are not putting any identity pressure over Macedonia, Serbia. Bulgaria, yes, it would have been Greece before the last agreement. Here, like 5 years ago, Greece would have been the first threat probably in Moldova because of the name issue, because Greece was blocking integration of Macedonia in there. But nowadays it's Bulgaria because Bulgaria is blocking EU integration process of Macedonia, and this is why they view it as a threat. So this is current standing. It depends on the politics, political developments, current political developments in the country and around the country.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes. Yes.
Please? Yes,
Yeah,
I have,
okay.
have a question. And actually two questions. One is this institute, that survey, funded by who? Who funded?
The International Republican Institute,
Yes.
it's like National Democratic Institute. It's there, it's
That
there,
is nationally
US-based,
funded.
USA,
USA.
yeah, USA.
hocam var mı?
That's important.
They are, I think, National Democratic Institute is mainly linked to Democratic Party and.
So
Yeah,
affiliate of
okay, but-
Republicans then.
Yeah, this
Affiliate
is
of
international.
Republicans.
Money comes from the United States,
Yes,
so
yes,
yeah,
yes.
objectivity discussed. I mean, if the money comes from Turkey, again, the objectivity will be discussed. Of course, the question.
Yeah,
That was the first issue. But anyway, accepting that this is the objective. So by looking at the two slides,
which,
that's one most important threat and most important ally.
okay,
I see that the big actor there is Turkey. Turkey.
okay.
That is one of the main players.
Mhm.
But what is interesting is that all these countries lived under the Ottoman Empire for many years, for many centuries.
500.
And they gained their independence against the Ottoman Empire, against Turkey. But they have very good perception of the Turkey.
Really?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good.
Yeah.
That means that they were happy
Most
with the
important
Ottoman
ally,
Empire.
yes. It's Turkey,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
We have Turkey
Most
and
important ally,
yeah,
yeah.
only in Serbia.
Yeah.
And although Turkey is investing a lot in Serbia,
Yeah.
And the Serbian people loves Turkey a lot.
but in all of others, we have Turkey there.
Yeah, you do not have direct border
Third-
with them, with any of them.
Yeah.
I'm
direct.
curious about the results in Bulgaria, for example, in Greece. How do they think about us?
Yeah.
We do not have direct territorial border.
Direct
with them.
connection with Turkey, yes, yeah, maybe. So that's important to know.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
So that they were very happy under the Ottoman. Some countries, Ali Hoca, what do you say?
I think so. I think so. They only hide it.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is a very good believing.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very
good.
No, I mean, in general, you can debate, the objectivity, but I think when it comes to IRI and National Democratic Institute, they are quite objective in that perspective. They have established a good reputation, and historically, they have good reputation in this.
Yeah, that is my criticism. Also, from
Especially-
the academic perspective, just you used just one source.
Yeah.
Maybe the second
This was the
source.
most recent one, of course. Yeah, the most recent one, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean.
Maybe the another one, maybe another opposite one or something else.
Okay, yeah. To make the balance.
See what is the difference.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, thank you very much. You want to?
yeah.
Very productive.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Yes.
Sinem fotoğrafı oradan alıyorum.
Evet, ekvator.
Buraya gel.
Oraya gideyim.
Yes.
Söylüyor işte.
Ben mi geçeyim oraya? Ben şu...
Ben Sıla'cının ne işim bak.
Ben hocam geçelim.
Okay, yeah. Okay, with mine also, yeah.
Tamam.
So,
Bir onunla bir onunla.
Pardon. Kendisininki de, benimki de çekebilirsiniz.
so where is the professional photographer?
None of us, none of us are professional.
No, the.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Relax.
Thank you very much.
And here is your. Thank you very much for your participation. Tamam hocam.
Welcome. Thank you.
Sorry, excuse me.
I will also have to leave now. Thank you very much for your understanding.
Enjoy your stay in Istanbul.
I will try to take the most of it as far as I'm here.
I will
Okay, I think now we can continue with Fateme. Fateme, are you online? Fateme, can you hear us? Yeah, but your microphone is closed according to here. Could you please turn on your microphone? Our microphone seems to be closed. Fateme, do you hear us?
She's not there.
Maybe we can continue with
Yeah, I
you
can
then.
continue. What about my presentation?
Okay, it's
Yeah.
okay.
I can
Now
continue.
let's continue with Oktay, and then we can go back to Fateme as well. Okay. Oktay Bingöl's presentation will be about great power competition and militarization in the Balkans, exploring risks and strengthening conflict prevention. So the floor is yours. Let's start.
Yes, good. That is my topic. You see, yeah. Actually, before me, Mr. Rahman and the best for talk about some great power competition in the Western Balkans. That was also included in my presentation, but I will not talk about the Western Balkans because they mentioned everything better than me. Okay, that is the main thesis of the presentation. Main thesis is that the power competition, great power competition driver, has increased militarization in the Balkans, negatively affect communication. Actually, there is a lack of communication and between some actors, and also the mutual trust, initiate or trigger the security dilemma and self-help behavior, and increase the risk of the multi-actor regional conflict. In this regard, strengthening the conflict prevention by reliable actors, not the great power, but the reliable actors is required. That is the main thesis of the presentation. Okay, that is the content of the presentation. I will talk about the causes of the regional conflict, color geopolitics a little bit, and a little bit theory, and nexus of the military solution and the conflict and the related military solution in the Balkans, great power rivalry region and some preventive actions and okay. So I will not discuss the Balkan, which countries are included, but I included Turkey here, of course. So there are 12 countries there. We know the geopolitical proportion, significant, but I would say that the region itself is very connected, at the same time a divided. Yes, it's hosts many battles. It is a battlefield, but also the friendships, alliances, cooperation. I see the both one side by side in the Balkan geography. So. Yes, it's full of conflicts, enmities, and friendships. That is my bottom line from this slide. Okay. Of course, I'm talking about a regional conflict, not just a conflict in a state, a regional conflict. There are some contributing factors, more than this, of course, contributing factors in a regional conflict, like geographical proximity, intervening borders, and the minorities, all of that, the presence of all these factors increase the risk of regional war, And of course, enduring rivalry, historical hostilities, and unresolved or the frozen issues increase the risk of confrontation in a right time. So I highlighted the great power rivalry that is important for the region. And the rivalry, competition here, not the involvement. I cannot see any risk for the involvement, but the rivalry is more important than the involvement. Also the militarization, of course, because that militarization or armament can trigger the security dilemma. for the other actors and can initiate an arms race. So that increases the possibility of the armed conflict or the violent conflict. So that is the definition of the militarization. Of course, it comes from the politics, the domestic politics, first of all, at the beginning, increasing defense spending and military capacity of the state and expansion and the influence of the armed forces in the society, administration, politics, everything else in a state, domestic. But what's important for us, for this briefing or for this Congress, the title, the topic is the foreign policy dynamics, foreign policy portion of the militarized state or militarization. As state becomes militarily stronger, first of all, it sends a message to rival state that the cost of entering into conflict with it will be very high and deter adversaries from such a course of action. And also, militarized states adopt more, and the implement, try to implement more aggressive foreign policy. That is the historical cases. So, of course, the constant increase in the military power of any state to initiate or will trigger the other state, neighboring state, or the rival state for the armed race. That's also important. That is the militarization in the regional context, or the foreign policy, or international context. So there is, of course, a nexus of the militarization and the conflict. Arguments here is that it can cause security dilemma again, increase preventing motivation, and close the window of opportunity for the diplomacy negotiations for the soft power implementation. And also, it may trigger rapid escalation and in a militarized geopolitical setting, territorial objective for security, national, so-called national security, supplant the political goals for the sustainable victory. So, consequence or the result might be militarized interstate conflict, intrastate conflicts, regional conflict, or internationalized armed conflicts, one of them, or both of them at the same time, simultaneously, in some geographic setting. So, what is the level of the militarization in the Balkans? Maybe. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Level of military, how to measure militarization in a region. I put together 4 factors. One is the defense spending, other one is the armament level of the state and the region itself, and the foreign military bases or the force points of the other actors execute the great power. That would be important. And of course, the military exercises, number of the military exercises, but it at the same time contributed increasing the troop deployment, and also at the end we created foreign military bases. So, okay. If you look at defense spending in the Balkans, first of all, we see that in 2023, the last year number, this is last year number, this is the current number, update number. In Eastern Europe, increased by almost 30% to reach those level and approached approximately $200 billion, which is highest level since the 1990s, in the last 30 years. Of course, the surge in the last years, maybe the last 5 years, was driven by the Russian actions. And their spending was Ukrainian spending and Russian spending was important. Okay. Change.
Nasıl olacak?
you see the defensive spending of the all Balkan countries here, except Turkey. All countries, increased their spending, defense spending, based on the part of the GDP, percent of the GDP, as a per capita defense spending, as a total with the US constant US dollar. All of them increased their spending, especially Serbia and some other countries, not just Serbia. So there is an increase in defense spending in the area. See, for some countries, it is more than 3 times or 4 times in just 7 years. So this is a big number. But this is very interesting that as a percentage of the GDP and as a total number, Turkey defense spending decreased.
And also Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah, if you look at the level of armaments, that's another criteria, the level of armaments in the region. This is also, first of all, by the European state, arms import and export, arms transfer in general, were almost 100% higher in the last 4-year period than the 4-year period before the last year period. So most of the arms transfers came from the United States in that period. When we compare, we see the difference, almost more than 30%. Of course, Serbia has increased its spending, Serbia, and armaments. It is now ranked 37th in the world for arms purchase. But it's not just, Serbia also, largest arms suppliers are China, Russia, and Belarus. You see the percentage, 40%, 30%, and 20%. That is important maybe for the militarization in the area, with the great power involvement, because most of the arms comes from China for the Serbia. And of course, for the Croatia, that is similar, not at the same level with the Serbia, but similar. A big increase in the procurement. That is not similar, of course, but again, an increase in the Albanian budget and the Albanian armament level, and also the Kosovo. Kosovo also purchased some drones from Turkey, and some anti-tank missiles and other heavy weapons, sophisticated weapons from the United States. Okay. Another area is the great power politics and the rivalries. As I asked in my question to the Rahman and the Vespa, maybe the great power involvement is not so important, but the perception of the great powers of the other parties' involvement as a threat, as a factor for the disability, contributing to disability in the region, that is more important than the involvement of the great powers. By the great powers, I mentioned about Europe and Russia, of course, China and the United States. Of course, Turkey is a regional power in the area and contributing to their economy and also to the arms transfer. So I will not talk about in detail in this great power politics, because especially their involvement is more important in the western, the Balkan countries than the remaining part of the Balkans. So the best for especially talk about that involvement.
John, we have 3
Yes.
minutes left.
We have, yes, based on this, how many?
3.
3.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So we'll
But there are some actual and potential, some of them are the potential conflicts in the Balkans. Again, the best word talk about the Western, the Balkans, I will not say anything. But Aegean dispute also is important for the in Turkey and in Greece for the area. There are some ramification or implication or the impact of the disputes to the stability for the Balkan. Also, the Eastern Mediterranean issues between Turkey, Turkish Cypriots, Greece, and Greek Cypriot, with the involvement of the regional countries like Israel, Libya, Egypt, Lebanon, and some of the countries. Also, the great power or the European countries, energy businesses, energy companies, and energy firms. That's also the potential conflict in the area. What is required for the conflict prevention or the strengthening early warning mechanisms? There are enough, I think, sufficient mechanisms. And conflict prevention, if it is failed, if they are failed, conflict management, and of course, prefer the conflict resolution. But all of them are not so easy. Okay, but we have in the region some capacities and tools. There are some regional organizations, their missions for early warning and conflict prevention. That's important. Of course, the European integration process and membership of some of the countries for the, and also the EU mediation efforts and OSCE missions in some countries. I will show you the chart, and the promotion of the regional cooperation, and also maybe an initiative for the transparency in the arms transfer for bases and troop deployment. Okay, you see the regional structure and organization and the countries covering all the Balkan countries and EU, and you see the member country and the candidates and the potential candidates for the EU. You use the OSCE members and OSCE mission, and that's probably in the Western Balkan countries. You see the NATO, okay, and the NATO mission in the countries. You see the organization of the Black Sea Economic and Cooperation Organization. That organization is also important. You see the members, but some countries are not a member. But the BSEC is not so active in this time because of the Russian-Ukraine war. And also there is another mechanism, that is Southeast European cooperation process, that is a regional mechanism like the BSEC, and also SELIM, or the Southeastern European Defense Ministerial process. This is also a very active mechanism. So what we see here, there are some at the European level organization, but there are some regional organizations. I think regional organizations are more important. They can behave objectively as a third party, reliable third party. So my argument is that those regional organizations should be more active, and they can help to strengthen the conflict prevention and early warning in the area. So that concludes my
Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution. We have questions to Mr. Ingör. Okay, let's go ahead.
Actually, I asked Fatame to rearrange her computer, and then, are you available? I asked them, and she left, and she didn't come yet.
Okay, let's continue with Forten and Leo's question.
Will she come?
I don't know. She didn't write anything. She just left.
Yeah.
But she didn't say anything, so I'm not sure.
Okay, let's continue with the
If
question.
she comes in the last session,
Yes,
you
you
can
can
continue
take
with the
her.
last
you can
question.
talk, no problem.
Let's take your question.
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
Short comment and question. the comment is according to our lessons learned. At some point, back a year and a half ago, there was a trend to discuss many projects of reconstruction of Ukraine. And people with economic background were conducting seminars, workshops, and discussing these projects. Until
the construction process in Serbia?
No,
Yeah,
in Ukraine.
Ukraine.
And at some point, it dawned in their minds that without clear answer who will provide security, all those discussions are pointless. So first, you have to provide security, and only then you can discuss economic development. So your presentation is, in my mind, is very important from this point of view, our lessons, unless the security environment is conducive to economic contacts. There is no point for discussing all those roads, ways, doors, and all that fancy names for economic projects. So it's very important. However, sometimes I'm puzzled how people do even security-related economic projects. For instance, 2 days ago, New York Times published an article which says in the Pentagon's first new major arms plant built since Russia invaded Ukraine, Turkish workers in orange hard hats are busy unpacking wood crates stenciled with the name Repcon, a defense company based in Istanbul. So, Turkish workers from Istanbul will work in Texas to provide ammunition for Ukraine. Can you please explain to me how it works? I think from Istanbul to Ukraine is much easier than to go to Texas and then back.
It's the way how it works.
Well,
It explains
Globalization.
globalization.
It's not my fantasy, it's just an article
That is very
in New York
interesting,
Times.
yes. Yes, that's very interesting.
Probably we didn't want to be Istanbul, right?
Yeah. That is
I
the result of the globalization without borders. See, doctors without borders, or taxis, or the arms transfer without borders, or something like
Maybe Americans want their money spent in a really safe environment in Texas rather than put them somewhere else.
somewhere else. Yeah, that is interesting.
Okay, if you can just
Yeah, that's
talk about
very
this.
different thing.
Okay. I think Fateme is online now. Fateme, can you hear us? Are you able to present your paper?